Hey everybody, what's up? We're here with a timeless reading. Before we get started with the reading, let's set the intention for this to be a space where everyone allows themselves to feel seen and validated, and ultimately for this to be a safe space and a healing space in alignment with the highest good. Okay, so what I'm seeing is that something is taking a little bit of time, but don't get in your head about it just because it may not be happening as fast as you think that it should. It's like everything is on schedule, but maybe your expectation of this situation, you need to adjust that and sort of put that on schedule. Because there's no issue with the process, there's no issue with what's going on, with how this is manifesting. But you could be in a spot where you're like, is this supposed to be taking this long? Something like that. Is the process supposed to be like this? Again, something like that, but don't question it. You don't need to anyway. You can if you want to, but it's unnecessary. So I'm definitely getting this as being reassurance. This is like something that you've definitely committed to, you've invested in this. You've been like maybe waiting a bit. It could be the period of waiting now where it's like you've done all you can. You sort of have to wait for the other pieces to fall into place now. Things that are beyond your control at this point. You don't need to take anything else on if you don't want to. And you want to pay attention to what is not inspiring for you. I'm actually seeing, as much as it's like, how's that gonna help me with anything? It's actually very important here. It's like, if there are things that you don't want to get involved in, or again, you're not feeling inspired to do it, don't take it on. Because right now you're really learning to get in touch with that part of you that's like, I don't want to do that, or I'm not interested in doing that, or like my energy is not speaking to me to go in that direction. It's something to pay attention to. But specifically what you're not up for, what you're not interested in some way, for some reason, I'm seeing that's going to be helpful for you. This may even be realizing what those things are, because maybe before you were just, somebody would say something, be like, hey, can you do this? Or like, I have this thing for you to do, whatever. And you were just taking it on without checking in. And I'm seeing it be very, very important for you to check in, especially with what's not resonating with you, or what you don't want to take on, or what you're not interested in taking on. And I will say this too, for those of you that aren't in a spot yet where you're like ready to say no to certain things, you can just begin keeping track of this, like begin observing this, even if you may not be ready to be like, I don't want to and I'm not going to do it. Maybe you're just realizing at this point what you don't want to do, and you still may be taking those things on. It's a step, you know, it's a process. So you can just do what you're comfortable with, but I'm seeing that even if you're going to continue saying yes to certain things, just pay attention to at least what your energy is saying. I'm not interested in doing it, whether you do or not. That's very, very important here, even if you're not ready to start saying no. You want to keep track of this for some reason. Like, I'm getting it be like this. Just the most simple example I can think of. Somebody comes through and is like, hey, like, do you want to do this thing together? Do you want to work on this project? And immediately, like, your intuition is like, no. Okay. Write it down. Like, what happened, that situation, that you said internally no to that thing, whether you take it on or not. Because later on down the line, let's say that you ended up working on that project anyway. Later down the line, something may happen where you'll look at that in that instant and be like, this is why I was getting that feeling to say no to it. You know, so I'm seeing it's kind of just like, even if you're not ready to make certain changes now, if you can keep track of what your intuition was telling you and you go about participating in the thing anyway, you're going to be proved right, essentially, but you may need to see it to believe it. And so for those of you that aren't ready to sort of go out on what you may perceive as being a limb by listening to what your intuition or like your feelings are telling you yet, if you can just keep track of this, you're going to find out that once you immerse yourself within that cycle and like walk down that path, things are going to happen or something's going to pop up, and there's going to be a clarifying moment where you'll be like, oh, like that's why I was getting that feeling to say no. So that's what's happening right here. this is something that's gonna like it's not an automatic process. It's something that's gonna take a little bit of time to play out. This, basically you're like in the training period for what to say yes to and what to say no to, and to learn how to connect with that instinct that you have. Because you may have been using other motivations or other reasons or another system for why you were saying yes and why you were saying no, and I'm seeing you move into a more intuitive practice at this point of what to say yes and what to say no. And I mean, this can be something like somebody's coming through and offering you like a bunch of money to do something, but you just have this feeling that like, I'm just not interested in it, or it doesn't feel inspiring, or like I just don't want to take it on right now. And you're just going to be proved that it's going to be proved right, that it's going to be in alignment for you when you listen to how you're feeling. Just to sum it up, okay? It's something that you're going to learn from, that this is going to be the most effective system for you, and everything's going to move most smoothly when you are doing things in this way. And sometimes it'll be without any other sort of explanation except just this intuitive feeling that you have. But for some of you, I'm seeing you're not at a point, as I said before, you may not be at a point yet where you're ready to fully like listen to that yet or integrate it, and that's why just keeping track of things now is going to help you out, because once you see this pattern and see that like your intuition is spot on every time when it tells you yes or no to something, that you're just going to see what's happening, and it's going to like reinstate this faith that maybe you don't have currently, or you don't feel connected with currently. For some of you, this is a proposal something's being proposed to you now. There's something that's coming through for you now that you may be learning about or looking into. But there's a hesitance here that I'm seeing. Look, I feel like these cards are very much explain what's going on here. Look, somebody's coming through to offer you something, and that's how you're feeling about it. Like, does this person look like they're ready to take that? I don't think so. You may not even want to look at something. Some of you, you're worried about money. I'm seeing finances, resources, stressing out. Don't take something when it's not resonating out of fear. I mean, you can if you want to, but it's definitely not suggested. It's not recommended for you to do that. But some of you, I'm definitely seeing there be like a financial worry or things having to do with finances. Like, this can be a thing with money, it can be a thing with home, stuff that falls under that sort of category. Material things, material energy. It's like you don't want to take an offer, but you may be looking at it and being like, well, how am I going to pay for this though if I don't take this on? Something like that. Yeah, that's interesting that that was the example too in the beginning when I said somebody would be coming through and say they're like offering you a bunch of money to do something and you're like, but for some reason I'm feeling like a red light or no to this. But you may not have another explanation for it. And the part of you that's connected with your earth energy may be like, well, I'm feeling like I need this money. And maybe you're like, well, how am I going to make it another way too? That's also, I'm getting like why your guides are saying as well, like some of you are going to see this and you're going to get to a spot where you have enough self-trust and belief and faith that you're going to be like, I don't know why I'm being told no, but that's definitely what I'm feeling. And even though I don't really understand it, I trust that my intuition's telling me the right thing and I'm not going to take this on. I'm not going to accept this. For some of you, you may be in a spot, the recognition is what's most important. So you can be in a spot where you're like, I'm recognizing that in my heart, I don't want to take this on, but I don't see any other options for me. And I don't believe that there are any. And so I'm going to take this even though I feel this feeling of saying no to it. I'm going to do it anyway, which that's just going to be the path that you take. The other people will take the path in the other direction. But I'm getting like the most important part of this for everybody is just to recognize that something's coming through and you're getting this feeling of saying no to it, that this is not resonating with you. And to just like keep that in mind, to keep that in track regardless of what happens after this, because it's going to, this little piece right here is going to be very, very important, and it's going to, something later on down the line is going to illuminate how the importance of you paying attention to how you feel in these moments before you have any evidence to like back it up, why you were just getting this feeling. Something very key to pay attention to. I will say this as well, to have the Five of Pentacles and also the Ten of Pentacles, this can be that you are limiting yourself, where you're like, the money has to come from here, or I have to make it in this way, or I have to do this in order for this to happen, and you may actually be limiting yourself. Like it may be able to come through another way that you're just like not open to mentally. Because Five of Pentacles is like not trusting that things are going to work out, or not trusting that it's going to happen in another way. And it's kind of like just being shut down out of fear, which comes from a natural place, you know, evolutionarily speaking. This is you thinking about your survival, so it's very much the ego being like, well, how are we going to cover that? How is that going to happen, you know? So it's normal for that to be popping up, but here's where your integration of spirit and faith can potentially be applied. I'm seeing something here about potential connected with a partnership. Is that the High Priestess? I'm seeing the Three of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. So there's potential for you to start working with somebody. Okay, so off the bat, you're starting off in a place with the Four of Cups. So this can be you like not really being into something here. I'm seeing somebody trying to make an offer to you, and I'm seeing you looking at this and being like, how is this going to benefit me within my personal life? And I'm seeing that there's something that may be tripping you up about you and another person, but then there's also this worry about It can be like family, it can be home, can be finances, which can also be tied to a person here too. I think a good place to start as well would be figuring out why you feel like you're in this Five of Pentacles place, why you would feel like it would be counterproductive to you to say no to something you feel you should say no to intuitively. Like, what here would be inspiring you enough when you're already getting this feeling of like, don't take it on, or I'm not interested in doing that? What here would be influencing you enough, especially out of fear with the Five of Pentacles? So what's scary to you that's having you be like, I know my intuition is telling me no, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like, I'm not going to listen. And it feels like this is somehow like financially or materially motivated. So that's something you can check in about, because this has to do with your belief systems. For some of you, this has to do as well with like your past or your upbringing too. I'm seeing that have an influence, or like traditional family values can be connected with how you were raised as well. Things that you saw, experiences that you had. Yeah, it looks like psychologically and emotionally, there's something here that you are trying to settle that has to do with your historical experience even, that would influence you enough to remain within a situation or take on a situation that you're already feeling like this isn't the thing for me, or like I'm not really interested in doing this. And it seems like once you come to terms with this, you're going to feel more empowered to do what you actually would prefer to do within this situation out of empowerment rather than fear. Okay? But know that it's just going to be a work in progress. If this isn't the situation where you're going to listen to your intuition, you just keeping track of the fact that like what your intuition was telling you in the first place, like that's definitely a step here. So give yourself credit for what it is that you have going on, and know that, again, if this isn't the time where you're listening to your intuition, that there will be many more times that will come through. So you'll just get this situation like repeated again and again until you're ready to complete it. Like, you get as many lessons as you need, basically. There's never any like flunking or failing out. It just will repeat. So it's not like you're not going to complete this, because eventually you will. And everything is progress. Everything. And a lot of like what's important right now, especially with this step, is just the consciousness, the awareness, the realization of, I'm having something happening, I'm having an immediate intuitive response that's telling me no, or telling me yellow light. That is definitely not a green light, and I'm clocking that. And that's what's really important to happen here, if nothing else happens, okay? All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everybody for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm wishing everybody love and light and healing, and I hope to catch you guys next time.